guys, it's Kyra from KyraWilliamsFitness.com, and today we are going to be talking about getting results from your workouts. So today's episode is all about lifting, okay? So we're not going to be talking about fat loss, we're going to be talking about building muscle. But I know those of you guys who follow me want to know about fat loss, and I will tell you, the more muscle you have on your body, the easier it's going to be for you to lose fat. There's a lot of different reasons for this, and you can go back into previous episodes to learn more about that. But the bottom line is the more muscle you have on your body, the leaner your body will be, the easier of a time you'll have with losing fat. So with that said, today's episode is all about building muscle and how to get results from your workout program if you are lifting weights, okay? So also, I have an 8-week workout program I just put it out. It's called 8 Weeks of Strength. It's all about helping you build muscle through strength training. And this program, it's 8 weeks. We are going to start it as a group on June 24th. It is either 4 workouts a week or 6 workouts a week. There are 2 different programs wrapped up into one. You will get access to both programs when you sign up. There's the novice version, which is 4 workouts a week. The workouts take about 30 to 40 minutes. You can do them as long as you have access to dumbbells, 1 kettlebell, and resistance bands. The other is the pro version, which is going to have some slightly more challenging movements, like, prone rows, for example. You will definitely need more equipment. So you'll need a barbell, you'll need like the cable system, you'll need dumbbells, kettlebells, bench. So it's definitely more geared to folks who want to go to a gym, and the workouts take anywhere between 40 and 60 minutes. So, and you can kind of go back and forth because the workouts are going to be similar. The pro version just has like some different twists to it and additional movements. So you have the ability to go back and forth. So if you want to follow the pro version, but you've got to work out at home a couple days a week, no biggie, you would just pull from the novice program. So it's very interchangeable like that. Anyway, with that said, let's talk about how to get results. Just lifting, like going out and being like, yeah, I'm lifting, that isn't necessarily going to get results. What does is following a program that utilizes progressive overload as the style of training. So like CrossFit, for example, I love CrossFit. Nothing wrong with CrossFit. But like going and like doing random stuff, even though, yes, it is a strength and conditioning program, like my gym right now, I believe that they're on a front squat cycle. So every week there's progressive overload, and it's geared towards helping the people who are following this program create a higher 1 rep max front squat. But if the goal is overall to build muscle, not necessarily get to that 1 rep max strength, your entire program needs to be based on progressive overload. So the way that I do this with my clients is we follow the same workouts. We do it for 4 weeks. And the reason I choose 4 weeks is because it's like, it changes often enough to where it gives you some variety, but 4 weeks, it's like typically about 4 to 6 weeks that you would need to change the exercises to create new stimulus. So I do 4-week training blocks because I've found with my clients that it's a frequent enough change that you don't get bored, but you're doing the same thing for long enough to where you can continue to make progress week over week. So progressive overload. There are multiple different ways to do this. You every week, so like every week you have the same exercises, right? So like, let's say on workout 1, it's like chest and back, right? And so like your first exercise, it would be like dumbbell chest press. And then the next exercise is like lat pull down. So let's just use those for an example. So the best range for volume, or rep range, set range, is 3 to 4 sets of about 8 to 12 reps. That has been scientifically proven time and time again that type of volume is what is going to allow you to build muscle. So we stay within that volume. But like week 1, we might do 3 sets of 10 on the dumbbell chest press and 3 sets of 10 on the lat pull down. And then the next week we could increase reps, we could increase weight, we could increase time under tension. I'll explain that in a moment. Or we could decrease the rest periods, and that will thus increase the intensity. So week 1, we've got 3 sets of 10 on dumbbell chest press. Week 2, we might do 4 sets of 10 on dumbbell chest press, or we might do 3 sets of 12 reps. So now our volume is going up. We could do, and then like week 3. So this is kind of how I'm doing it in like the 8-week program. 3 by 10 dumbbell chest press week 1. Week 2, we might add in a pause. So dumbbell chest press, we pause down here, press up, pause. So now we're increasing our time under tension. Now the lat pull down, we might go 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. And so now our time under tension is going up. We try to maintain the same weight that we used in week 1, which is going to be really challenging because we've got these pauses, we've got this slow tempo. Then week 3, bump up those reps, or say, okay, we're still going to stick with 3 by 10, but I want you, instead of dumbbell chest press using 25s, this week I want you using 30s. Or on the lat pull down, last week you used 48 pounds. This week we're going up, we're going to do 3 by 12. I want you to use 60 pounds. And then week 4, again, increase, maybe increase weight, maybe increase the reps. If there's rest periods built in, maybe we decrease those rest periods, so you're getting less recovery time. So that's how progressive overload works. And if you are following a program that utilizes progressive overload, you are setting yourself up for success in building muscle. But you're only going to be able to do that if you are tracking your weights. So are you tracking your weights? Because otherwise you're like, what the heck did I use last week? I don't know. Like, did you use 20s on the dumbbell chest press, or did you use 25s? How do you know if we're doing, instead of, last week we did 3 by 10 on dumbbell chest press and you don't remember what you used. And then this week it's like, hey, I want you to do 3 by 12 on dumbbell chest press and maintain your weight. Well, like, how do you know if you didn't write down your weight? Or it's like, hey, I want you to do 3 by 10 again, but I want you to bump up your weight from what you did last week. If you don't know what weight you're using, then you don't know what to bump up or stay the same. So making sure that you're tracking your weights is the next key. Number 3, so I've got 5 different ways that that we are focusing on making progress in building muscle. So the third one is utilizing rate of perceived exertion. So rate of perceived exertion is like how much like energy you feel like it's requiring from you on a scale of 1 to 10. So like 1 being like me picking up this pen. That's a 1. But maybe if I have to pick up like a heavy book, okay, that's like a 2, and so on and so forth. If you were doing like dumbbell chest press and you're using 5s, you're like, boom, 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 I can do that forever. Then your rate of perceived exertion is a 1. But let's say you pick up the 15s and you're like, oh, okay, like I feel something, but it's still not heavy. That might be like a rate of perceived exertion of a 4. Then you pick up the 25s and you're like, okay, this is really challenging. And then and you're like, I can do some, but this is challenging. And then you've got like, you pick up like a 40 and you're like, I can do 1. That would be like a rate of perceived exertion of like a 10. So you want to be somewhere in that like 7, 8, maybe 9 range for most of your training. There are definitely times where you are going to go into failure, and that's going to be more like your RPE of 10, but for the most part you're training somewhere in that 7, 8 range. And again, tracking your weights is super important here, because otherwise how do you know? And so you can also track your rate of perceived exertion. And what's kind of cool is like, let's say like week 1, you're like, okay, I did my dumbbell chest press. I did 3x10 at 25-pound dumbbells, and my RPE felt like it was about like a 7. I felt like I still had about 3 to 4 like good solid reps in the tank in that set of 10. And then week 2, you're like, oh, okay, I did 3x10 at 25 pounds again, but my rate of perceived exertion, now that felt like a 6. Like it felt like it was pretty easy. That's a sign for you to go up in weight. And so in the 8 weeks of strength program, like I do make tons of notes in there about what your rate of perceived exertion should feel like. So in like week 1 and week 2, your rate of perceived exertion should maybe be about like a 7, 8. You're kind of feeling your way through some new movements possibly. And then week 3, you're like, okay, I have this movement pattern down. My brain and my body know what I'm doing. And now I can, bump up that weight, and I might suggest your RPE to be around like an 8 or a 9. And so this is going to that's going to say like, okay, I'm definitely comfortable with doing more reps here, or I'm going to increase that weight because I know my body's capabilities, because I've been keeping track of my weights, but also I am supposed to, my RPE should be going up week over week, so that way I'm creating new stimulus, because that's how the body knows to make changes. Is the body doesn't change if there's no stimulus. You have to have stimulus for that change to occur. Just like, any kind of habit, the body works the exact same way. You have to have stimulus for that change to occur. So if you're like, I love Pilates, I think Pilates is fantastic, but it doesn't lend itself to progress, because it's a lot of the same movements over and over, and there's no way of like really increasing weight. I mean, I know that like with the reformer, you can add on more resistance, but that's a whole other story for a whole other time, but that's not lending, they're not using the rep scheme. That's really meant for hypertrophy or muscle building. But create that stimulus is what is necessary to build muscle. So we are not necessarily going into failure. Training to failure can be helpful because it kind of opens up this new level of like, you're staying mostly in here. Training to failure, or like working up to like a 1 rep max or something, can kind of get you like, oh, this is what it feels like to be up here rather than down here, right? And so training to failure can definitely help open up like a new bracket, but we don't spend a whole lot of time there. We spend a lot more time in that fatigue area. So we're fatiguing the muscles. And then so that way they have to recover, and the recovery is what lends itself to muscle growth. So that's kind of the last point that I want to make, is that you can only build as much as you recover. And so this program doesn't go a ton into recovery, because that's a lot more what I deal with when I work with clients one-on-one. But looking at your sleep, looking at your nutrition, looking at your hydration, look at your stress levels, that's what lends itself to the proper recovery that you need. So if you're following a program, you're doing progressive overload, you're within those rep ranges for hypertrophy, hypertrophy, you're tracking your weights, your rate of perceived exertion is like an 8, 9 most of the time, but you're still not seeing results, then it's like we have to look into the recovery portion of things to find out why you might not be getting the results that you want. So you're only as good as your recovery is. So anyway, just to recap, a progressive overload style of training is necessary working within the volume ranges that lends itself to hypertrophy is the most important thing when it comes to getting results in terms of muscle building. Making sure that you're tracking your weight so you know what's going on, working within that 7-8 range of rate of perceived exertion. And we're looking for muscle fatigue. I mean, you should walk away from your workout being like, it's chest and back day. Like, oh man, like I feel it, like washing my hair is like, that feels challenging. You shouldn't be so sore that it hurts to move. But you should be like, oh yeah, I worked this yesterday. Like you should feel like that. Anyway, so 8 weeks of strength is ready. I want you to join in. I want to help you get results. If you are watching this outside of June 2024, then sign up for online personal training with me, and let's help you build some muscle. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And always feel free to email me, Kyra at KyraWilliamsFitness.com, or just go to KyraWilliamsFitness.com or follow me, Kyra Williams Fitness, and shoot me a message and let's chat. I want to help you. I want to help you get results.